I'm Taylor Hart.
And I'm Avonlea.
And you guys, back in 2018, Avonlea and I got together and we did a little experiment. We created a course to help other people who have a dream to become writers. And we recorded a live series of video trainings together. And the recordings, they've kind of just been sitting out in cyberspace.
Yeah, so Taylor recently contacted me and asked me what I thought about putting this training out there in all of its messiness and imperfection, in the hope that it might help some of you who maybe has been displaced by the COVID-19 pandemic.
That's right. We have both in our lives faced hard things, and we want you guys to know we're there for you. We love you, and we want to be part of a solution. These recordings, you guys, they're totally raw and unedited, but they're 100% value. We hope you'll use them, benefit from them, and when you do write your book,
not if, but when,
then you'll let us know. And you'll share it on social media. You'll tag us, Taylor Hart, Avonlea, because these are going to be coming out. They're going to be coming out right now.
All the videos, all at once, they're there. So just go and enjoy the videos, share your success with us, and happy writing.
Happy writing.
Welcome back, everyone.
Hi.
Lesson 7. And today we're diving into writers retreats, writers conferences, mastermind groups, writers groups. What are all of these things? Who are they for? How do they work? How do you find one? And this is stuff that I am a newbie at. So I have a lot of questions, and this girl has all the answers. Yeah, but let's kick off with master our mindset.
All right, guys. So I want you to think about mental pictures today, okay? And I know it sounds easy, but I want to really break it down and have you think about how your whole made of mental pictures, okay? See how it's a dock and it's going into the ocean? Our internet connection. Is that working?
It said our internet connection's unstable, but I think we're good.
I think it's okay. I actually got this anniversary trip with my husband, and for like 5 years, my husband, we're gonna go. I have a in my mind, right? But I go to Maui. We're gonna go to Maui, and and he's like, okay. He's kind of like, well, it got to be about June, and I was like, no, for our 20th anniversary, we're going to Maui. That's like all I would accept, right? And of course, I make money on my books, and we have different things. And so it was just like this. I had it in my mind. I had that in my mind that we were going to go down and we were going to look for our home, for our future home. So last August, we went to Maui and we did some touring and we looked at different homes. And there was a point we were staying in Lahaina, and it was just kind of this Verbo. It was like a hotel. It as a hotel. We were right on the beach, and we were walking down the beach, and we got to this place, and all of a sudden I looked out at the ocean, and there wasn't this, okay, there wasn't this, that part right there, but like the sky and the ocean looked like it met, just like back there. And I didn't even have to say it. My husband's like, that's your picture. That's your picture. Okay. And I was like, oh, I was just so happy inside. And that's, so I want you to think about is what mental picture is pulling you forward. Okay. Now, maybe it's a vacation, maybe it's something in the future. I also was going to tell you how important it is about that goal to be in a relaxed state. So every day after my gratitude exercise, I do this meditation, and I take myself to my house in Hawaii. Okay, and I move around. I do some yoga, I swim in my pool, I go in my house, I go in my library. You guys are getting like the in of the in. But the reason I'm telling you this is I don't know what your place is, but that's a really relaxing place for me. Even right now, if I just think about it, like I felt every part of me relaxing. Okay. Relaxation is so important.
We'll keep recording and see if the recording.
You guys are okay.
Hey guys, here's the thing. If we get the recording back,
she's a problem solver, see? But you want to be, you need to have a mental picture of that. Okay, and I don't know when we forget this, because as kids do it all the time. Kids are great at seeing something they want and then asking for it. Right now it's before Christmas, and my younger kids especially are always seeing, you know, what they want and what they would like, and they're always talking to me about it. They're bringing me pictures of it, right? And I think somehow we grow up and we forget that sometimes, that's possible, that dreams are possible. And so I want you to be practicing what mental picture you have. Another mental picture I have of myself is being a teacher, okay, being a coach, being a mentor, being a best-selling author, all right? And I've had those mental pictures for a long time, where I can relax back and I can see, you know, I wouldn't say it's per se what we're doing right now, but I've always known I wanted to do courses. I wanted to teach this way, and that's kind of been in the back of my mind. And if you give your chance, my kids use this word, chillax. Mom, chillax. This is what my 16 and 13 are saying to me right now. And I was like, I couldn't decide if the word's respectful or not, right? But then it kind of made me smile today. I was like, chillax. Yeah, I mean, it's chill and relax. I want you guys to practice that every day. And the more you do it and you think of the things you want, the more you'll feel yourself pulled towards this goal. Okay, it's a secret that people use, and it's one that I use. And I was like, I need to tell them about that secret. I also, when I'm on any book project, okay, I do my playbook, I fill it in, but then I kind of give myself space to like close my eyes and think about the characters and think about the movie. A lot of times when I write, I'll actually write with my eyes closed, because it's like a movie happening. And so that means I spell a lot of things wrong. Okay. It can be dangerous, but
I was like, you would go back and not be able to read what I wrote. It's like,
it makes some people really nervous. Okay. But whatever works for you. I just like to have a mental picture always in my head. So,
well, that's interesting, because that's very similar to the concept of the vision board. A lot of people teach about vision boards, yes, right? And in the coaching arena. And so I've started creating a collage almost every year that I hang up in my office. And at the end of the year, I take it down and I put up a new collage. But one year I put up a collage. This was my vision. This was my mental picture, right? And that year I really wanted to get married. And I had all these pictures of weddings on this collage that I had created, among other things, like, you know, vacations and whatnot. Yeah. But there was a lot of wedding energy on this board, like wedding dresses all over this board. And at the end of that year, I not only met my husband and married him 6 months later, I got a job working for a wedding dress designer.
That's right.
Okay, kind of weird, but I had put this so much like wedding dress, wedding energy onto this board, and I had created this mental picture that I ended up attracting or creating a job working for a wedding dress designer and getting married. So it's really powerful what the pictures that you put into your head, and it's funny to see how they manifest sometimes, but it's,
I love that,
a strong, powerful tool that I use. And it doesn't mean that everything that you put out there is going to grow. I think they say it's like the law of the harvest. Like, 80% of the seeds that you plant are going to grow.
Well, and it's good to notice, because sometimes people use this principle an incorrect way. They put what they don't want, right, in their mind. And so this it's supposed to be a success mechanism, okay, that moves you forward, goal striving, but it can work in reverse. And you know those people too. And so it's good to take note of what you're putting in your mind and being intentional about that.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay.
All right.
Here we go.
So week 7, lesson 7, we are talking about different ways to leverage your craft.
Yep.
Because we've already talked about how to outline your book. We've got the playbook. We've got how to just churn out content, how to overcome the temptations and the distractions. This is like, here's the next level, which I've never done any of these things.
It's this next level I'm super passionate about, and it will take you next level, like you, wherever you're at, to have support and to have people cheering you on, and for yourself to cheer others on. And that's why there's a saying, I actually have it on my board, but it says, if you want to go someplace faster, take others with you. And so there are other writers just like you out there. Maybe some of you are all attending and we could help. I was thinking, at some point we could give you guys a format to hook up with each other, right? Then you've all been schooled in this way and you can realize this importance. And so I'm excited.
Awesome.
This is good.
Well, let's dive into writers groups. So what is a writers group?
Okay. A writers group is a group that comes together to help each other. Okay. And it's kind of vague. I joined my first one after I attended a conference in Salt Lake. And it was really sporadic. It was like I knew I needed a writers group. And so I just started going anyone I would sit by, because I went to the conference by myself. Okay. And I would just be like, are you a part of a writers group? Just like that.
I can't
really
imagine you acting like that.
I was. I'd be like, what would you want to join a writers group? And so we had about, I think there were 6 ladies. Okay, they were between my age and 50, and that was probably 10 years ago. So there was a group of us, and we all were in within an hour of each other. And so we committed to meet every month on a certain day. And we were just, going off the cuff. None of us knew what we were doing, really. So each of us would have to have a chapter of the book they were working on to the group by a certain day. And then all of us would have to have that chapter corrected by the time we met that month. And then we actually took a timer, and we'd spend, 10 minutes on each of our chapters to give us some time. And it wasn't bad for any of those. Maybe that's a question we should have asked. They can chat.
Yeah, you guys can respond in the comments.
But if you've been in a writers group, I would like to know. Just yes or no, if you have. But there were a couple of problems since we didn't really, interview each other before. You had a lot of different personalities. Okay. And so you had some people that were super positive, trying to be really helpful. None of us even were going off of a beat sheet at that time. We were all new. Okay. So we really didn't know what to look for. And we didn't have a rubric of what the chapter should look like, And so it was really throw-up-y. Okay. So you'd get people commenting about your chapter, and it was mostly first chapters, okay? Because then we'd go the second. You guys, it was painful. I did this for probably 8 months with this group, and you're driving, and I had little kids at the time, so it was a big night. I'd be driving or hosting, and then we'd have this meeting for like 2 or 3 hours, and then I'd drive home, and it wasn't the thing that was effective. Here's what I will tell you: is it was a springboard to the next level, right? And that's what I always think. And even for yourself, when you start feeling down, it's like, are any of my efforts working? Yes, they are, because everything is a springboard to the next thing. You don't know what you don't know. I know that sounds like a silly phrase, but I think most of you will appreciate it. You don't know what you can't know what you don't know. You have to start somewhere. Okay. So that's why we're really talking about this. I want to look at the comments.
Yeah, so it looks like we've got mostly no's. We have no, haven't been in a writer's group, no, never. Yes, a couple, but I need a new one that is more like-minded. And never been in a writer's group, just have a bunch of books trying to escape my head.
Yes.
Don't we all?
Well, and there's some danger. So some of the pros of writing groups, okay, are that you have to get stuff done for the group.
It creates a deadline.
Yes. And that is effective, okay? One of the negatives of writing groups are that you can kind of spend a lot of time working on other people's stuff. So I don't recommend having more than 3 or 4 in your group, all right? The one I first started with was way too big, okay? So 3 or 4, all right? And this one comment said, I need one that is more like-minded. Yes. I would say have one with the same goal. If that goal is to get your book published, have that be your first goal, whether that's you're all publishing on your own, right? Or you're gonna take it to a publisher or whatever. Make sure you have a definite date. I would even say and that works with you, that works with this group. Okay guys, how would a 6-month deadline be? How would a year deadline be? So we're going to get our books done in 8 months, and then we're going to learn how to whatever the next level, be in this process together. So have some like-minded people. I would actually give yourself a grace period of probably 2 or 3 writing groups before you set your writing group, because you can get some negative personalities that just piss you off. Okay. And in my first writing group, we had a girl in that group. I still know her. She's still kind of in my circles. And she kind of delighted in ripping apart everyone's chapter. Okay. So we'd all be like, what is she going to say about my chapter? All right. And it started this actually it kind of made me friends with some of the other people, right? Because we'd all complain about this one girl in our group, but I think that's dumb. I don't recommend that. Okay. And so you might even give yourself, when you're joining one, say, I'm committed, but I don't know how you're going to do it, but too much negativity will crush you as a baby writer. All right. Yeah. And I remember at different points being like, oh, we're not even wanting to do it because of this girl. And so finally, after 8 months, I was like, I'm out. And I knew I needed a new one. Okay. And so I started looking. I went to another conference. So I would say your best bet for finding people that are part of a writer's group is to go to a local conference in your area. Okay. And we're going to be talking about conferences to look for in a little bit. But meet people. You can also do it online. All right. And you can look, you guys know, we live in Utah, and there are the Utah League of Writers. They hold chapter meetings. They are serious business. I have some friends that are a part of that. Okay. And it's a great place for newbies to come. So I would say probably any state you're in has that state's writing group or chapters. And so I would look that up, Google it, look it up, and then I would go meet with local people, because you want some of this. Okay. Mm-hmm. At least I did. You kind of want to feel their energy. You want to learn from them. That's not to say, okay. The second group of writers I really started helping and becoming friends with were my Snow Valley writers. And I have some Christmas books. We all decided to do an anthology together. There was 5 of us, okay? And the thing I liked about this group is we had all put out a book by this time, okay? So we'd all shown that we're dedicated, right? But then we decided two of us would help, we trade manuscripts, the full manuscript, all right? which was more time consuming, but it was a lot more helpful too for me. So I'd have these writers, right, that would bring it to me, and they could tell me, you know, okay, this doesn't work, this doesn't work, this is a plot hole, I want to know what happened to this character, or I hate this character. Your two main characters, you have to love, okay? And even if they're a jerk, you have to show a moment. This is, I mean, I think we've talked about this a little bit. You have to show this part when your book opens, even if they're a jerk. It's called a pet the dog moment. Have we talked about that?
I think we did when we were doing the playbook,
okay.
But just in case.
Bring up again. But if you don't have that moment, even for a villain, like you can still love villains, right? But your villain has to be redeeming in some way, all right?
Like they give a huge tip, or I think we did talk about
this. Okay. Anyway, but at least when you're writing in the world of romance, maybe not in like Star Wars, right? Darth Vader, I don't think has it, but you do know motivations. You start learning motivations. Anyway, okay. So the best place to find your writers group, I think, is at a conference. I definitely probably wouldn't just join a group online. I mean, if I was desperate, you guys, I might. So if I had a goal to get a book done and I could not go to any conferences or do anything, I do believe in the saying, your greatest resource is your resourcefulness. Okay, so do what you got to do, right? Go online, find a Facebook group for new writers, connect that way, go back and forth. It might take a little longer, but you can do it.
Right? And you mentioned there are also genre groups.
There are genre groups.
So we know a lot of you guys, I mean, we're specifically targeting clean romance with this group, but a lot of the people who are interested in this program don't just want to write clean romance. They're wanting to write memoir or nonfiction or young adult fiction or something, just sci-fi fantasy, whatever. So, you know, just know that if you need to, you can go onto Facebook and at least connect with those genre groups.
And they're all over Facebook. So just type in, you know, writers, and then memoirs or clean romance, whatever. And you'll find a ton of groups. Usually, I think if they're a good group, they make you answer some questions to get in, right? And then, but there's nothing wrong with being a newbie.
And last week you told me about one, it was like 50 bucks to 50K.
So here's one of the best Facebook groups. It's called 20 books to 50K. All right. And they actually have conferences, and it's the guy that runs it. I've had some communication with. He's amazing. His name's Craig Martinelli, but he just did one in Vegas. And
is that where our friend Joe was
at? Yeah. And all the profits, actually, it's a nonprofit. They've set it up as a nonprofit because they really just want to help newbies. And so I think it's an amazing group. So I would go there.
So just another option.
20 books to 50K on Facebook. Okay. So, okay.
And so with some of the pitfalls we said, there's the cons here. You kind of have to have a thick skin because
you know going in that it's okay to have criticism, right? You might, I mean, I told you there was that one negative girl, but there was a lot of great people in the group that gave great criticism, you know, and it's so beautiful when people are telling you what they liked about it. Or, hey, try this. I think you could do this for this character, and that would be really fun. Like, that's fun.
Well, and we've been discussing, and this will probably come into play a little bit with our mastermind groups, but the synergy that happens when you're willing to brainstorm and create an idea together. Like when we did the playbook for the story that she and I did together. We involved you. We had you ask for help on who were these characters and where does the story take place. And then our ideas kind of bounced out and, and then if that happens, and then, And so it's like what you're able to create when you allow a group is a synergy where the sum is greater than its parts.
Yep. And I would definitely do the timer method, right? Just from the get-go, I would have a list of expectations for people in the group. If you're, you know what, you guys, if you can't find what you want, create it, right? So if you need to create a group, I would have a list of things, and part of the Mind Master stuff we're going to talk about is going to be applicable to this for you, for a writer's group. But definitely set time, because they're writers, right? They're creative people and they love their story. And some of them want to talk and don't ever shut up. And then you've gone through an hour and you've talked 70% of the time about their book and none of it about the other 3.
Well, how about this? What if we create a writer's group guideline and contract for you guys? What if the 2 of us sat down and we just created that for you and sent it out, and you guys can use that as your vetting your own writers groups? Just let us know if that's something that you would like to have included as part of this program, and we'll create it.
Okay.
We had a comment here. I've had authors read my stories and say it's great, but then I worry they're just being nice.
And sometimes that happens, as you go through, as you become more and more familiar with craft and characters and the things, it's that whole thing, like you have to know the rules to break the rules. That's what you're learning here. And as you read more and become a better author, you're going to be able to pick out stuff that's wrong too. One of the biggest mistakes in first chapters from new authors is called info dump. Okay. And it's you're like telling everything you want to know about the character in that first chapter, and people get bored. Okay. But that's, as you guys are progressing, you're going to be like, oh, this is info dumpy. Okay.
So how do you tell the difference then between kindness and honest feedback? Like, no, I really love it.
I don't know.
Okay. Just curious. This is the unlearning. I'm learning with you.
Yeah.
And we had somebody say they went to that 20 books conference in Vegas. Totally worth it.
Yeah.
And yes, people.
Can you say your name?
Sally?
Yeah, Sally.
And we have a lot of people saying they would love the writers group guideline. So we can create that. We'll create a little guideline of how you run a writers group, and then a contract for people joining the group. Like, here's how it works. Hold people accountable.
That's great.
So where were we?
Mastermind.
Are we ready to go in there?
I think we are.
Okay.
Yeah. Because some of it is applicable to writers groups. So I'm excited. Do you want me to just go?
Go.
Okay. So mastermind groups, you guys. Okay. I told you that I really started writing with authors through Snow Valley. Okay. And then probably 3 years ago, I developed a mastermind group with Jennifer Youngblood and Cami Checketts. And they are really great friends of mine. And we decided that we were going to break Amazon top 100. We decided we had some goals. Okay. We wanted to, I think our first goal was to break top 1,000, right? And then every year it got lower. And it was like, oh, this last year was break 100. And now I've broken 100 4 times. I think they've broken 3 or 4 times. And
this is why we're here, guys.
But it's just fun. And here's the thing, though. When we were kind of talking, they both are good friends of mine anyway. I had known them for a while. So I knew what kind of people they were, right? But Napoleon Hill talks about masterminds as one of the keys to success for any group, okay? Any organization, any group. His mentor was Andrew Carnegie, who, I don't know if you knew this, but the Carnegies, they own a bunch of stuff in America.
They're rich.
Okay? They're rich. But Andrew Carnegie really wanted every American to have this philosophy of wealth, okay? And to know how to build wealth for themselves. And so he actually hired Napoleon Hill to first of all, interview every millionaire in America at the time. Okay, and this was back in the early 1900s. And he didn't pay Napoleon Hill to do this. But what he did give him are letters of introduction to Henry Ford, right? To all the big players at the time. Thomas Edison was good friends with Napoleon Hill. You had all these people that inventors.
I want to say even the Rockefellers.
Yes, you're right.
If you listen to Think and Grow Rich, he references all of these people.
You guys, Think and Grow Rich is get it on Audible, right? It's dense, but it's so valuable. I always think as a writer, right, we're not just writers anymore. Really moving into where we are, giving the opportunity to make more and more money, we have to be thinking rich. We have to be thinking not just in a financial term, but in emotional, spiritual, intellectual way. We always have to be growing. Okay. And so that's what this book is. And having a mastermind group is super important, because if you have the same goals, then it can just take you next level so fast. Like Napoleon Hill says, you can accomplish in 1 year what it would take you by yourself to accomplish in 5. Okay. And so if you are married and if it is harmonious, okay, and I know that ebbs and flows. I'm married 20 years, and I know sometimes we're more harmonious. I'm sorry, I have my phone on because of my kids, but it's not my kids, so I'm turning it off. That ebbs and flows, but if you decide together as a husband and wife to make a goal, you actually have access, and here's the key, to that third mind. Okay, I call it God, all right? But if you have these same goals, then you're working with God, and you can actually, which I didn't even realize this until probably 2 years ago, but if you're working in harmony with someone, anyone, okay, not just your husband or wife, but anybody, you actually have access to each other's brains. So I want you to think of a time you've worked with someone, okay? And it's almost like you're on the same wavelength, right? And you're like, was that my idea? Was that her idea? Was that his idea? You have these really synergistic groups, and it's because the ideas are actually accessible to all of you, which is mind-blowing, right? So that's one of the keys, is that if you're in harmony, it like has to be this give and take. Then you're allowing each other to receive and send ideas easily. Our brains are a broadcasting station, okay? And so people can feel it. I mean, a lot of you that are here, I think, speak this language, but you're giving and receiving all the time, right? Mm-hmm. And so you know this, but there are, okay, I'm gonna take you through. So I filled out this book for myself, and I'm just gonna read you a few things, okay?
And what's this book? Just FYI, friends, I'm going to go back through all of our recordings when we're done and create a whole list of all the wonderful books that we've referenced throughout this course. Yeah. And we'll provide that list to you so that you can go where it's taking you. So we have, literally Think and Grow Rich. So yes. We've talked about Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. There's a workbook. I didn't even have a workbook. Right. Learning so many things today. Or Amazon, I'm sure you can buy it. But I have filled this out for myself. And I just love this kind of stuff. But okay, so there are some requirements, all right? If you want to accomplish anything, first you have to have an organized plan, which makes sense, yeah. Right? Write that down. Secondly, ally yourself with a group of as many people you need for the creation and carrying out of your plan. All right, so that's this writers group or publishing group, marketing group. Me and Jen and Cami used it as everything. Okay, and we still use it that way. We don't necessarily read each other's drafts anymore, because now we're at a point where we're producing so quickly ourselves and, each other, that we don't really have time for that. It's not just trust your editor
most beneficial time. We have really, really great editors, okay, that go back and forth with us all the time, that have our same purpose, okay? All right, before forming your mastermind alliance, decide what advantages and benefits you may offer the individual members of your group in return for their cooperation. And I think that's really important, because sometimes we approach a group and we're thinking, what can they offer me? Mm-hmm. But it's important for you to, write down some things you might offer, all right? One of them, within me and Jen and Cami, like we each have different strengths, okay? But Jen is really, really harmonious. Like she can keep the peace between all of us, which is great. And she has great talents too for different stuff. But Cami is like a brilliant marketer. Like she brings a lot to the table. Like she's always like thinking of different ways to grow our newsletter list, to do different things. I'm probably, and this is feedback they've told me too, but I love creation. So I love looking at the next story idea we're going to do, or the next series of books we can do. I'm always like, oh, you guys, what if we did 3 guys going here doing this? What if the cover looked like this? What if that's always poking around in my brain? And that's what's fun for me. And so I would say write down some of your natural strengths. And that can even be, and you know what? I get so tired of people being like, oh, I'm not really great at anything. No, I want you to really look at yourself, okay? Having an ego is healthy, okay? A healthy ego is healthy. Is being like, no, I can do this, right? Now that doesn't mean you're hurting anyone else, okay? Because I believe freedom, if you have freedom, or if you're growing or you're making money, it should be available to everyone else if they want that. It's not because I'm stepping on someone else's toes. No, but just think about what you love to do too. That really lies, what you love really can become your strength, okay? I'm also, as you can tell, I love personal development. So with Cami and Jen, I'm always bringing to them, okay guys, I think we need, to get this next goal, here, I think this is what we need to do, according to my Napoleon Hill, my Bob Proctor, the stuff I'm always reading. And they're great. They're like, yeah, tell us. And, they're asking me, what book should I read? What book should my kids read? Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah. Well, and if you're struggling with I don't know, what is my thing? What is my unique gift? What is my unique strength? Throw it out there to your friends, to your family, put it out on social media. And this is a homework assignment for today. I did this a few years ago where I was like, what is my thing? What is my magic? And I just went out to all of my community and I said, hey friends, I'm doing this assignment. I would love your help. What are 3 things that you notice about me that are my strengths and my top qualities? And it's really interesting to see what your people around you say, actually, I'm really drawn to you for this reason. I'm always impressed by this about you. And ask for feedback from your community, because I think that inner critic can be so strong sometimes that you're like, oh, I'm just like everyone else. I don't have anything special to offer. Ask your friends and family, why do they hang around you? Why do they keep you around?
And ask God.
Yeah.
Whenever I'm struggling, I ask him. Okay. And it usually, sometimes I don't always get the answer right away, but it comes, or it might come through a person, right? It might come a different way. And it's like you resonate. You're like, oh, that's it. That's it. Mm-hmm. Okay. So, okay. Mastermind. So you want, what can you bring to it? Then you also want, I always say in a mastermind group, make sure, first thing, positive mental attitude. Okay. Napoleon Hill talks extensively. That's one of, his sayings is a positive mental attitude is faith in action. All right. Now that doesn't mean everything's great in their life. Okay. Because guys, we all have problems. And here's another point. You don't want people coming in you're letting them, you're being involved in this group. It can't become a problem fest. Okay, because everyone has problems. So that's one of the other things too, is you have to meet, you have a positive mental attitude. You're here, you can shirk that problem for that hour or whatever, or a lot of problems, and you can be focused on what you need to be focused on. Mm-hmm. If you are in groups where they can't do that, get out. You won't progress. Yeah. Okay, you'll get lost in problems. And I used to, when I first was in that first group, I kind of felt more compelled that I had to help everyone. Okay. That was kind of a feeling I used to have. I no longer feel that way. Now I feel like I can help who I'm prompted to help, but it's not my job to save everyone.
Yeah.
Okay. Because it's not a healthy way to be.
Well, I think of it as what if you were showing up for a job? And granted, like you said, everyone has problems, and you want to have compassion for someone's humanity. Yeah. There's going to be a day where the kid's throwing up, or you're running late because there was a big accident on the freeway, and whatever that is. But at a certain point, you have to check your problems at the door when you walk into the office, and you have to show up and do the job. And this is your job. Yep. If you decide to invest in your career as a writer, to join a mastermind group, at a certain point, you have to check your problems at the door and show up and do the work.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And like I said,
great point.
Having, respect and regard for people's humanity, having compassion that we're all going through some stuff. But if that continues to be a recurring pattern with you or with someone in your group,
get out or cut them, which I know is really hard. Okay. So you want to have positive mental attitude, right? You want to be able to have the same purpose, like you were saying, like-minded people that can make decisions, that are courteous. This is all, if you just even Google Napoleon Hill and what did I put in? Like attributes of a successful mind master group. Okay, it's great. But tact, he has stuff like tone of voice, because he really harps on people that have an annoying tone of voice. It really bugs them. The habit of smiling, okay? He has a whole bunch of stuff, like a keenness of sense of humor, faith in infinite intelligence. But decide for yourself, and we can even come up with a list, that I think is appropriate. I think follow through. People have to be able to follow through. They have to be able to keep a deadline. I've been a part of groups, I've been a part of a ton of groups. I'm a part of some right now. We have a fake fiance Christmas series that we're putting out, and the group is fabulous. There's about 8 of us, okay? I have my Snow Valley group. I have a Navy SEALs group. I have my Last Play Football Romances group. But all the people in the groups I work with now meet deadlines. Okay, I don't work with people that don't meet deadlines because, gosh, you guys, I have 4 kids and I have crap happen, and I might be up till 2 or 3 or 4 in the morning meeting my deadline. Okay, it's a commitment you make and you have to follow through. And if people can't follow through, they're out. All right, you have to respect and honor yourself. And part of that is making sure you keep your deadline. So, I've been sick, I've had different things happen, but now I'm just like, deadlines are met. Okay. And so that's something that's important. Having the same desire. I've said that it's more like the stuff that you don't want. That negativity can really bring you down fast. Something that I think is so important is that you can all cheer for each other, okay? And it's something you kind of have to train in yourself. I remember I would go into bookstores, this was probably 10 years ago, same time, and I'd walk in, I'd written my first book, I told you how that went. So I started writing another book, I started being a part of writers groups, and I'd walk into a bookstore and I'd get like ticked off. I'd be like, I'd pick up a book and I'd like read some of it, and I'd be like, I can write better than this, right? And I'd pick up another book, and guys, no, right? We have to train ourselves to be happy for others for success, all right? No matter what success it is. Maybe it's that they wrote that first chapter. Maybe it's that they published a book. Maybe it's they got a deal. But here's a law of the universe. Once you get in harmony with success, success can't help but come to you. That's powerful. So it's worth the mental training, all right? And even be happy for like little successes, right? There was about 3 years ago, my Snow Valley group, we had this guy who was producing movies, and he was interested in doing the Snow Valley movies. And me and Lucy McConnell, she's in that group, we were kind of the point people to go talk to him, and we agreed, we had a deal, we met with an attorney, we had our rights taken care of, we had all this stuff going on. And I remember I was with my family, and here's something else. Your closest people around you sometimes hurt you the most, okay? Ignore it. Train yourself to ignore negativity, all right? But I was with my family, I was like, oh my gosh, we're gonna do this. Like, I wanna take everyone out for dinner. Okay, I was with my whole extended family. I'm the middle of 5 kids, so it was a lot of people, right? We went to this, it was Christmas time. It was Christmas time. We went to this pizza place, and someone in the family, I won't say who, like they're ever gonna watch this, but you never know. said, well, why are you're acting like the movie's already made. Why are you already, like, you still have to go through all this stuff. And I remember I just looked at him like I'd been trying to train myself, right? And I just looked, now you know it was him. I just looked at him and I was like, I know, but right now I feel like it's already happened. And that feels so good, right? Mm-hmm. And don't you feel that even when I'm talking about it? It's like, yes, like I'm jumping up and down. I'm in my Maui house.
So cool, yeah.
Right? Like that feeling, why wouldn't we celebrate? Mm-hmm. Okay? So many times we don't celebrate success. Even little parts of success. You have to train yourself to celebrate too. Yeah. Okay? Not in a fake like, oh yay, they're, whatever. No. Really feel it. Okay? Now that deal did fall through. Okay? But it didn't, like, I felt like I'd had it. Okay? I still feel like I have a movie deal coming. Like, I still feel that happy about that. Okay? Now, does that mean I wasn't disappointed when it fell through? No, I was disappointed. And it set me back for like a night. Okay? And then I got up the next day and I was like, onward and upward. I'm going to create another thing. Okay? And that's, you guys, that's like the joy of doing this, of writing books, of we can create. Okay? I mean, so many writers are broody and moody. Okay? That's because they've trained themselves into that. They don't have to be that way. All right? And so train yourself to this. And that's the kind of people you want around you. So me and Cammie and Jen, whenever we have a success, whenever we need help, those are the ones I go to in my writing people. And I have a lot of writing people now that we kind of support each other, but those are the two that I'm like, boom, I'm doing this, I need help. They're like, absolutely. And I do that for them. We have each other's backs. And so I would say, even as a newbie, right, you have to be a little bit vulnerable. You have to put yourself out there. If you're never vulnerable, then you don't grow. So it might take a while for you to find this writers group that's really great, but go in with your expectations, like, here it is. And don't accept less. I mean, don't accept that negative Nelly. And if you care about that person, tell them. Okay, here's one of the things. To be a part of this group, it's our best self. Yeah. You hear all these people say, oh, I'm not a pretender. I can't be fake. Well, guess what? Having a positive mental attitude is just putting your best part of you. All of us have the best part, right? That doesn't mean we don't have the negative part. It's there. Which wolf are you feeding? I don't know if you've heard, which do you feed, the positive wolf or the angry wolf? Yeah. Right? Feed that positive wolf and demand that of others. And you'll find them. Like, put that out there. So we can make another
contract and outline. So we've got a difference. We've got our writers groups who are our writer buddies, and we have our mastermind groups who are.
Yeah, it could be the same people. As you grow, it could be different people, right? And you can find different. You don't just have one. You can have more than one. I'm doing some different projects. I would say right now, me and Avonlea have a mastermind for you guys, right? And it's fun. And it is fun.
It is way fun.
And it feels like playing. And we talk about that. We're like, oh my gosh, this is so much fun.
And what else can we do? Like, we're not just going to end it at 12 lessons and be like, well, hope we sell some courses. It's like, no, what else can we do? How can we keep doing this?
We've been thinking of value added, and that's feedback I would love. Like, if you're like, oh, they can add this afterwards. Yeah.
I mean, we've talked about private coaching. We've talked about retreats. We've talked about.
Yeah, in fact, do you
have
that
question? Yeah. Okay. So on that note, we have a little poll today, and we just are curious, for those of you who are able to be on the live recording, would you want to attend a writer's retreat hosted by the two of us? Location TBD. I'm just throwing it out there. I have access to a really gorgeous vacation home in St. George, Utah, out in the beautiful southern Utah desert. We could do one in Salt Lake City. We could do one in Park City. We could do it anywhere.
Fun. Park
Yeah.
City's fun.
So just give us a little nod, yes or no. If we hosted a writer's retreat and we added,
We got some
some
yeses.
coaching, we got a lot of yeses. So maybe like 10 more seconds, 7 yeses. This is like unanimous. I think,
Right?
I think it's on. All right. Well, there we go, everyone. So this is just an example of how we've continued to collaborate and say, what else can we do? How can we add value to these people who want to be successful and who love writing like we love writing?
Passion.
All right. Well, let's top it off with conferences.
Okay.
So Taylor Taryn,
That's all right.
what's the difference between a writer's retreat and a conference? We've talked about writer's retreats before. I heard about how you're a slave driver. So, and they still want to come.
Yeah. Get ready. I do promise productivity though. So that's good.
What's the difference between a writer's retreat and a conference?
When you go to a conference, you're going to learn from some people that are close to you. You can go all over the country, all over the world.
We mentioned the one in Vegas.
Yeah. I would look locally first. I'm always like, before I spend money going outside, I want to see what they have locally. So I would look at your local things and just, Google writers conferences in Oregon, just close to the big city that you live by. Salt Lake hosts some of the best writing conferences in the nation. I'm not even kidding. There's one called LDS Storymakers, which is not just for LDS people. They actually have national agents come. I've pitched books to national agents a couple of times. It's kind of fun. I am on the indie path now, right? So I don't really care about that stuff, but you starting out, you may say, you know what, I want to go to a pitch session. I want to go try that stuff. That sounds kind of fun. I bet they're in your city. I bet they come usually in May or June. It seems to be when writers' conferences are kind of big. There's also the random ones, different places. They have really fabulous writers that teach craft. Okay, you learn story, you learn characters, you learn pacing, you learn plot, you learn how to be mean to your characters, how to teach emotional stuff. I've listened to so many things. At this point, I don't go to regular conferences myself anymore. I only attend things for indie published authors. So I would go to that 20 books to 50K because those are my people, right? That's my focus. I'm making great money selling books on Amazon. I'm not interested in a publisher. I think that's outdated. Okay. I want to have control. I want to have different techniques. I want to know what's cutting edge, right? Now, within my little group of writers, not just Cami and Jen, but even the bigger ones, we're always chatting it up about it. Have you guys tried this? Have you tried this keyword? Have you tried this? We're going to talk to you about that in upcoming lessons, which is going to take 5 years off your time, at least. Okay. Which is awesome. I'm excited for you. But that's what I would try and get around those authors. If you're paying for a conference, do the indie authors. All right. That's the future, you guys. That's the future. I am going to offer some coaching and some different things after this. So, for writers, that could be an option for them. But as far as a conference locally, just to learn craft, I would just go to one. It'd just be fun. Meet other writers, okay? And then you guys can talk about, do we want to be indie? Do we want to get published? Maybe that's a question we should probably ask you guys, but okay. I met my Snow Valley group at a conference called Indie Author Hub, okay? And all of us were there. At the time, the big thing was anthologies. People were selling anthologies. Amazon was kind of pushing anthologies. There were an anthology is 5 or 6 books put together. And we decided, we could write an anthology. And then we made up we're like, let's write it about Snow Valley, this cute little town in Montana, right? And we just all came up, the town was like a character, Okay. And so we could play in each other's worlds. Our characters knew each other, and it was a lot of work, but it was a lot of fun, and it benefited us. Then we had 5 people to market, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then we had 5 newsletters going out. Then we had, and I still do that with different series I'm a part of, right? That's a key. And so you want to find these authors that are like-minded. So I would say, honestly, a regular conference is good if you just need help learning how to write. But you kind of have to look for indie stuff. Regular conferences don't always have it. They might have 1 or 2 indie classes, which I think within the next year or 2, it's 3. I don't know. It's going to have to flip. Like, you're going to have people more, focused on indie publishing. It's the wave of the future. So, and that's why you're here.
Yeah.
Right? Even no matter what you're publishing. I mean, it just makes me excited that we can have control, not just control, but a voice. Like, now in indie publishing, you can get it published. It used to be that there was like 3 gatekeepers, right? And now it's unlimited.
Yeah, we'll explore that more when we talk about publishing in a few lessons ahead from now. But
I'm jumping ahead.
Yeah, well, no, it's good. I mean, because this is one of the big things. It's like, okay, well, now I have this. Why do I even start writing if I don't know what comes next?
Yeah.
And how to get there. And I think we talked about this maybe even in an earlier lesson. I wrote a whole book, and then I was like, what do I do with this thing? And I was like sending out query letters, and it's like, if you hear at all, it's a rejection, and it's like, well, now what do I do with this book?
Yeah. Query letters hurt your brain. Query letters, if you know how to write a query letter, then you know how to write back cover copy. Okay. And that just means it's still called back cover copy, but it's on Amazon. When you click on the book, it's that like 3 paragraphs.
Of the book. Yeah.
Right. And query letters are great for that. So I actually had queried a bunch, and by the time I started really writing back cover copy, I was like, oh, bam. Yeah, I can do this. Right. Mm-hmm. I've been querying. So
cool. Yeah. Okay, well, what else do we need to cover? We've talked about kind of what kinds of conferences there are out there. There's the traditional conferences where you learn craft, you meet with publishers, you practice pitching,
you pitch to agents.
And then there are indie conferences
where you learn kind of what I'm teaching you. Some of them will be craft-based, but it's more, some of them will be craft-based, and you might need that. But you also, I think you have to continue to grow as you grow this craft. You have to learn these indie skills, right, that we're going to be teaching you. Mm-hmm. Because just like Avonlea said, like, why get this book finished if you're not ready to make some money on this book? Okay. And so that's, there's a whole bunch of ways to do that. I mean, I go to this chiropractor, and he's great. And he's always like, so you make money on your books? And I'm always like, yeah, that's my profession. That's what I do. And he's like, oh, this other writer I know, he's had some traditional deals. Comes in here, he's always grumpy, and he just says that, like, he just has to go through an agent, that what you're doing is just, it's indie publishers aren't as good. He's saying all these myths, right? And so I'm just always like, yeah, but we can compare how much, we make. Right? Like, we can compare results, right? And that's what it is. A lot of people that get published traditionally once or twice are not making money, right? Mm-hmm. And why would we not want to make money? Yeah. I don't understand that. I seriously, last year, I taught at a conference, and my big thing was like kind of what I started with you guys. Have a goal, right? Have a financial goal. And this author came up to me after really stressed out. She's like, I want my writing to change the world. Well, okay. The more money you make, the more people are reading you, mm-hmm. Right? You want to get read. It's change the world, yes. But we pay people that have good stories.
Mm-hmm. So who should go to a writer's conference?
All of them. Especially if you're in your first book, second book, go to a writer's conference, even one just based on craft, because you want to meet other writers, okay, and have an opportunity to form writing groups, meet people. You want to meet people that are doing the craft, learn more craft, okay, do it. I mean, any opportunity you have, if you have extra money, go to a writer's conference. Yeah.
And is the best way to find those just online?
Yes.
There's not a certain magazine or publication you have to subscribe to, or
I wouldn't say anymore. I think now, because they can pop up all over different colleges near you. Might put one on. I know my voice.
We're making her talk a lot today because, like, I don't know this stuff. I'm just asking the questions.
No, I love
Teach
it,
me.
and you guys can tell I won't shut up. So, yeah, you guys just take opportunity and just in your mental picture, see yourself one day being the one up there teaching. Okay, because that means you're a pro. That means you're making money. That means you're loving it. And most of all, in your mental picture, have fun, right? Have fun mental pictures.
Okay. So we have a comment here. People are wondering, did we already have the class on how to find a good editor? And no, we have not done that subject yet. We're kind of going through this whole process start to finish. And we felt like this one was a good one to sandwich in because it dealt with the topic of creating content and finding a writer's group and
mastermind,
stuff like that. So, but since we're on that topic, do you find editors at conferences?
Yes.
Okay. So
that is another good reason. Yes.
Okay.
And they go there looking for you. So they will be putting their
hunting.
out. Yeah, they're hunting, and sometimes it takes a while. They usually do, and we'll talk about this more later, but any editor you employ should actually give you like 10 pages free. Okay, so you can know
this is a fit.
If it's a fit, and they're pricey. Some of them are pricey, so you have to make sure they're going to give you quality.
And I just checked our outline. That's actually next week. We're talking about editors next week. So, all right. Well, I guess before we
I have to read this last comment from Sally. My mom just called again, and I told her I'd call her back. Because I got a show to watch.
She found her editor at jury duty. But this goes back to our subject last week of the distractions. She's like, busy. Working on I'm important. Yeah. So if you guys have any other questions, I'm just throwing into the Q&A window here. We had people commenting in the beginning about the freezing of the recording. It seems like things have been flowing smoothly since then. So hopefully our playback comes back clean and we'll send that to you. Do you recommend starting as an indie publisher with a first book?
Yes, I do. Here's why, because it's where it's at. And a publisher is going to take your book and they're going to, you guys, my first publishing deal, okay, Covenant Communications offered me a deal on one of my books, and the royalties are 6.5%. That's common. I want you to think about that. 6.5%.
So what does that mean? What does that mean? Like, oh, let's just throw it into like
$1.
So how much do you make? That's what you get?
Right.
So
if that's any publisher.
If it's a $10 book,
you make 6.5%. Okay, so on a paperback book or on a book that's,
that's less than
selling
$1
for less, all your genius and hard work, and a publisher isn't gonna market you like you want to, like you have an opportunity to market yourself now, right? Even that's why indie authors are making a living now on writing, because there's opportunity. If you find it, that's why you're here. So and then they're going to take your rights forever. I mean, I have friends that are still trying to get their rights back from different publishers. And I have friends that can't write under their name because their name's all tied up with the publisher. That's not my situation. But yeah, I just think no. I mean, I know one of the drawbacks of being an indie published author is that you probably won't see your stuff in Walmart, Costco, different main places, okay? Unless you yourself go to those people and get in, which is a hard process. Cindy Hogan is a friend of mine. She did that with Costco, all right, for a couple of years. It was awesome. And she would go sit in different Costco's and she would like sell her books at Christmas and she'd make great money. I just talked to her a few months ago. Costco just canceled that. A lot of them want to go with big publishers, okay? But yeah, I mean, you guys, I would say every day of the week, I would put all my money on indie publishing.
And we're going to talk about how to do that literally. Like, this is what this program is designed for. We've already talked about how to write your book, how to get that content out. We've got this piece of the puzzle today. Next week, we're talking about the editing piece. I mean, just to give you like a foreshadowing of what's to come, we've got how do you format your book? We've talked about the different publishing softwares that are out there, but like, we're going to explain all of that in detail. And then we're going to literally talk about how, once you've formatted it, how do you publish it? We're going to walk you through those steps of publishing by yourself, and then how to advertise, Amazon ads, Facebook ads. So we're covering all of it.
Yeah.
Like,
it's going to be awesome.
Front to back.
By the end of this, I mean, I hope you guys are writing. I hope you're using that beat sheet. I hope you're writing a book. And I hope you're going to be ready as we keep going to do all of this with us.
And I just want to add a little, like, there's a voice here to just, a voice of assent to what you were saying. This follower is with Covenant, and she's getting $1 a book. That's how much she's making. So this is the truth of the matter. This is what it comes down to. If you're going with a publisher, they're taking all the money.
Yeah.
So
there's different reasons, different motivations. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying I wouldn't do it. I don't encourage it. So all right. Well, thank you everyone for being here. We'll see you on our next lesson to talk about finding an editor and going through the editing process, which should be perfect timing for me. So I'm just about that point in my book. She's putting the deadlines on herself. All right. Thanks everyone. See you soon.